Ready? Play.
Cool. I'm really pleased to have with me right now Amy Lundy from the podcast or YouTube channel 3. That is right, isn't it, Amy?
Yes. 3, a tennis show. Yes.
Yeah, 3, a tennis show. And of course, it was kind of born out of this magical number that we've been having in men's tennis over the last decade or two regarding 3 titans of the sport. Of course, one is retired, one is sorely missed, let's say. But I think there's been a sort of evolution of the number 3. Am I right on that, Amy? That we've sort of, have we massaged it somehow to sort of fit some other way? I spoke to Gil about this a few months ago, and he said, well, there were 3 of us and a few other sort of possibilities with it, right?
Definitely. And a lot of our fans have asked whether we should just call the show 1 now, as Novak has really ascended. We're going to keep doing the podcast just because I think the 3 of us have really good chemistry and we really enjoy working together. So we've got some format changes in the works, but we're not done with Novak's story or Nadal's story yet. And I'm still interested to see what Federer does with the rest of his life. And because of the arc of his career and his body of work, Roger still fits into the conversation. But the 3 of them, there really is a big drop off after that. And especially when you look at somebody like Alcaraz, we think, oh, he's the next thing. You know, he's going to win 20. Now we're starting to see maybe that's not so easy.
Yeah, right. A lot of talk about Alcaraz in the last 24 hours. But we are here, of course, to preview Jannik Sinner against Novak Djokovic, which will be coming up shortly. And I want to focus, first of all, on Jannik, actually, and just see where he has kind of improved, particularly over the last 6 to 12 months. What are your thoughts on Jannik and the threat he poses Novak in this semifinal?
I did my homework for this question. I was looking at this very specific areas where he has improved. And as you probably know, he started with what's called a pinpoint service motion, but then he went to platform. It might have been circa 2021, something like that. And this past year he went back, or last year he went back to the pinpoint. So that has really been effective for him because he's serving with higher percentages into the box. He's winning a higher percentage of first serve points won, but the big one is that he's really winning a higher percentage of second serve points won.
Okay.
And the gold standard is 50%. And in this tournament, he's well above 50%.
Okay, that's good news. And I'm glad you mentioned this tournament, especially because, of course, we had a few tournaments at the beginning of the European winter, the indoor season, and Jannik was having a lot of success there too. As we built up towards the ATP Tour finals and then also into the Davis Cup. His opponent in this semi-final, and of course Jannik himself, came up against each other 3 times. Jannik winning a couple of them. Arguably the most significant of the 3, and certainly the biggest gap between the 2, though, did go the way of Novak. So even though that was a sort of 2-1 mini head-to-head, maybe Novak in his own way had the last laugh. What bearing do you think those 3 matches, though, will have on this occasion?
It's really hard to say because one of them is at the very end of the year, the Davis Cup, and it's just sort of its own thing. Those matches were best of 3. Now we're talking Grand Slam, best of 5. This is coming at the very end of the tournament, unlike the victory that Jannik got at the beginning of the ATP Tour finals in the round robin portion. So, it's almost like it's not 2 different players, but it's really different conditions here.
I think that there is a bit more confidence regarding outwardly, at least for me as an observer, regarding Jannik compared to, say, Novak. I do remember the build up to those ATP Tour finals, thinking for the first time in this sort of new rivalry, if you like, he's got a chance. You know, when I watch at the moment, in particular, players like Stefanos Tsitsipas, to a lesser extent, Daniel Medvedev and Alexander Zverev and a few others, Rublev in particular springs to mind. I go into these matches, particularly at a Grand Slam, thinking, I don't see how this is going to be competitive over 5 sets. Taylor Fritz, to be fair, did bring it to some extent in the previous round. But Jannik Sinner going into those matches in November and now into this Grand Slam semi-final, there is a bit more belief from us on the outside, I think, that this could be competitive. This is a 50-50, a 60-40, you know, and I've seen a few polls one way or the other suggesting that. So the dynamic has changed. You know, I remember there are 2 matches at Wimbledon over the last sort of 18 months. The one in 2022, when even though Jannik went 2 sets to love up, it was like we're just waiting for the Novak comeback. And also this semi-final in 2023, that it was like, you know, he might make it competitive for a set or 2, but ultimately Novak's going to win. But that has changed, right?
Does he have the belief in himself? It appears he does. I mean, he's beaten him twice in the last few months. It appears that he is picking up in confidence. You know, the real question is, there's this thing of time on court. Jannik hasn't really been pushed in this tournament, has he? Has not dropped a set, and I happened to peek at their time on court, and Djokovic is over the 15-hour mark for total time on court. Sinner is just over the 11-hour mark. So it's almost like Novak has played almost another full match. Will that have a bearing? Or will you say that, you know, Djokovic is battle tested and he's rounded himself into form? But yeah, Jannik has had a very easy go of it so far.
All right, let's have a look at Novak now and his run. Is it fair to say he was looking a little shaky in the first couple of rounds, but he's gradually improved?
Yes, fair to say. And, you know, there was a minor thing with the wrist, which he assured everybody wasn't really a thing, but he did have an upper respiratory infection. And I had one of those recently. I can't imagine trying to play Grand Slam level tennis with something like that. He managed it. You know, he dropped a couple of sets, but he got through it. And probably as soon as the infection was cleared or the virus was cleared, he started feeling really good. And I think that's probably where he's at right now.
Yeah. I mean, he's dropped a couple of sets en route, and but nothing to worry about. I thought his level in the final set against Taylor was exceptional, and if he brings that to Jannik tomorrow or in this semi-final, then I think Jannik will have a few questions posed, and certainly more questions than Jannik has been posed so far. As you said, he's not dropped a set yet, although I do think that maybe Jannik got away with one a little bit in the quarterfinal against Andre Rublev, where I think he was 5-1 down in the second set tiebreak, and that match may have been very different if Andre had managed to sort of keep producing throughout that tiebreak, but he couldn't. Looking at this match as well, it's going to be in the daytime. I think it's now the 3rd match in a row that Novak has had in the day compared to the previous sort of 2 or 3 years. One of those, of course, although it was in the day against Manarino, I think it was under a roof because there had been some wet weather, although the match against Taylor was very much in the daytime. I have checked the weather for tomorrow in Melbourne. At least this is the prediction at the moment, or the forecast at the moment, is that both it'll be dry at the time of the match and sunny stroke cloudy, but actually not that hot. In European terms, 13 to 21 degrees Celsius. I don't know how good you are at translating that to Fahrenheit. Okay, that's basically like a cool summer's day, not too bad. I'm going to guess at about 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Is that hot?
That is ideal. I mean,
yeah, that's what it's
70
ideal,
is just perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe the only thing more ideal for Novak would be if they closed the roof and made it basically into an indoor tournament match. But I think for both players, that's ideal. So I doubt conditions are really going to be a factor here.
What will be a factor? Where will the match be kind of won and lost, do you think, Amy?
Mentally. Up here, you know, especially if it goes to 5 sets, which it very well could. you know, Sinner's record in 5-set matches is okay. I think it's around 50%. It's not like Novak's is. So, you know, I think early in his career, Sinner's conditioning was a question mark, and he's improved that a great deal. But is he conditioned, not having to play any more than 3 sets? Is he conditioned for a 5-set match? That would be my question. We know Novak is.
Yeah, of course, it's only Jannik's second Grand Slam semi-final. I think it's Novak's over the 40 mark. I probably should have checked it
Wow.
for Grand Slam semis. And of course, it's his 11th in Australia, and he's won all previous 10. So those stats are certainly very much in Novak's favor. Can I get you give me a prediction on it? You said it might go 5. I mean, I'm mostly interested in just which player you're erring towards, whether it's sort of 3, 4, or 5 sets. But
I
give me
hate
something.
giving predictions,
I
but
know.
I predicted Djokovic to win the tournament pre-tournament. It's like I'm a big believer in Novak until proven otherwise. I don't care what his age is.
Sure.
Can I just say that I think it's going to go to 5 sets?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
You can.
Okay.
I mean, I think, to be honest with you, our viewers can also read between the lines a lot to suggest that if you had to put your mortgage on it, I think we probably all know where we would go. Especially, I would go the same. I mean, my thoughts are that, you know, push comes to shove, it's going to be close. It should be fun. It should be competitive. A lot of variables to consider, most of which hopefully we've touched on already. But if you have to put your house on it, you're going to go with the guy who's
Who
won.
is that person that makes you put your house on it? Is it the banker?
That's never happened.
At the door?
Yeah, you never got this. Like, make sure you put your house on this one. All right. And if you are going to put your house on something, probably not going to be a tennis match.
Yeah.
But you'd be surprised, Amy, although maybe you won't be actually in the world that we live in. Most of the comments we get, or a lot of the comments we get, whether it be on social media or on YouTube, whatever, are like, I'm thinking about betting on this. And then it's like, oh, well, that's up to you. It's your money. I can give you some suggestions of how I think the match will pan out, but then it's over to you. But yeah, unfortunately, betting and tennis does seem to be quite a prominent thing.
You know, for this match, can you make it any more exciting? Does it need to be any more exciting? Like,
it is the one that we were sort of hoping for, no?
Yeah, I was. I mean, I kind of wanted to see an Alcaraz Djokovic final, but this feels like a final to me. I said that in my last podcast. It's just so funny that you said that about betting and stuff. A friend of mine had texted me that he was sure Sabalenka was going to beat Coco Gauff, and he felt really good about it. Although he doesn't bet either, but he said if he did, he would put a lot of money on that. Of course, Sabalenka won, but it was close. I mean, it was really close.
I mean, that's the thing, you know, millimeters and centimeters and stuff from greatness. I mean, just regarding Novak and the calendar slam, I mean, he was one, you know, swing volley away from probably doing that last year. I mean, lots of things can change and stuff, but, you know, you would expect Novak to put that swing volley away or that drive volley away in the Wimbledon final away 8 times out of 10. He doesn't, so he doesn't break. Alcaraz breaks in the next match, and the rest is history, of course. So fine margins. I think there was a couple of shots from Coco today that easily could have gone either way. There were a millimeter or two in or out. And on such matters, do tennis matches change, and particularly those where the margins are fine. And I think you and I are expecting those margins to be fine. I don't expect a semi-final that Novak had last year, which was against Tommy Paul, where he just dropped a few games en route to the final. I do expect things to be more competitive. I think you're right about the final. This kind of feels a bit like the mini final. Arguably, the comparison with Coco and Arena is fair on that front too. Only thing is I think if Jannik wins, then maybe a bit more intrigue comes about the final, right?
Yes, because he would be gunning for his first slam.
Yeah, right.
So, and it almost feels there's an air of inevitability to it. So it's like, when will this happen? Did you give your prediction?
I'm going Novak. I mean, the house on it with Novak. Yeah. I mean, I
Okay.
predicted Novak at the beginning of the tournament, and I've not seen anything in the last 11, 12 days or so that's made me change my mind. There were those lingering wrist doubts that you touched upon at the beginning of the tournament, but they seem to have gone away. Novak has been pushed enough to make him battle ready, if you like, without spending an unbelievable amount of time on court. I think he's fine for 5 sets. There's all sorts of variables, such as within the match injury that cannot be discounted, of course, but they're just random and you can't predict or control them. I think the 5 sets makes a difference as well. So yeah, I'll go for Novak either in 4 or 5. I think it may well go to a 5th, and then, to be honest with you, whatever the run of sets is, whether it's Novak with a 2 sets to love lead and then Jannik comes back, or all the variables, and then suddenly you're going into a 5th set between these two guys. Jannik's never been in that situation in such a pressure cooker environment. Novak has been there more times than you and I have had hot dinners. So yeah, you've got to go Novak if you're pushing someone. But I would not be surprised if, in a few hours from now, we're looking at Jannik Sinner in his first final. And if he plays Medvedev in particular, I think that'll be an intriguing final, because the head-to-head between those two has been very much in favor of Daniil, and now it's swung back the other way. And we're almost in a situation where Jannik would go into that final as a favorite. But that's for a couple of days from now. Any final thoughts on this match? I guess it's just get the popcorn out. I guess for you, it's going to be 10:30, 11 o'clock. You're East Coast, right, Amy?
Yes. For this one, I'll set the alarm. It doesn't matter what time, or I'll stay up or whatever. Final thought would be, game within the game. Just watch. Novak has been returning amazing, even by his own astronomical standards. His return game is so sweet. You saw it in the Fritz match. Fritz is a big server, and he just handled him just like that. So watch Novak's return of Jannik's second serve. That's kind of a game within the game. And what kind of a headway does he make there?
I think that's really interesting, Amy, especially as those comments you made at the beginning about Jannik's second serve, which I wasn't aware of. I mean, we kind of know what Novak can do on any player in the world serve, to be honest with you. And the classic return from him is sort of going at the feet. And I think Taylor couldn't always handle that at times, because his footwork and his movement isn't as good as the absolute elite. But even Rafa on clay, I've seen him, trying to fish out the ball between his feet as a ball is being aimed at him by Novak, particularly in that 2021 semi-final that Novak won. So I think that is quite possibly where this match will be won and lost. And again, despite those obvious improvements you made, maybe I would just err towards Novak on that dynamic. But it is centimeters, points, just a few here or there. So either way, yeah, popcorn out, Amy, whether it be 11 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock in the morning, depending on where you are tuning in from.
Absolutely. Enjoy it. Don't need to bet on it to make it more exciting. Just enjoy the match.
Definitely. And a big thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.